Okay, gentlemen, we're on 4.2 day one, solving multi-step equations, 4.2 day one. So if you have out your handout, we're going to start working on that right away. I've got it right here as well. So please have it out, follow along. A lot of this should be a review. We did some of this even in the prerequisite skills package way back in September. But as a refresher to get the juices flowing, let's get through some of this review. You're welcome to pause the video, do this on your own, and then compare answers with mine later. So here we're looking for a common denominator, 5/6 minus 7/9. Common denominator is going to be 18. So 18, 18. What did we do to the 6 to become 18? We multiplied by 3. So we multiply 5 times 3 and we get 15. And then here you ask yourself, what did I do to 9 to get to 18? I multiplied by 2. So we have to multiply the 7 by 2, which is 14. Obviously, 15 minus 14 is 1. So the answer is 1/18. Okay. Here, another one, a blast from the past from the prerequisite skills booklet. When you have fraction equal fraction, you'll remember I drew things like this for you guys. Fraction equal fraction and fraction times fraction, two different opportunities. When it's fraction equal fraction, we cross multiply. When it's fraction times fraction, we can cross reduce. All right, so the greatest common factor between 12 and 18 is 6. So I'm going to cross both of those out. 6 goes into 12 2 times. 6 goes into 18 3 times. Then I'm going to cross reduce the 21 with the 49. If you know your multiplication tables, you know this right away. If you don't, it's a little more difficult to recognize what the greatest common factor is. 7 times 3 is 21. So 7 goes into 21 3 times, and 7 goes into 49 7 times. So you end up with 14/9. Numerator times numerator, denominator times denominator. Okay. Next one is testing you on your ability to subtract fractions as well as your knowledge of BEDMAS. So according to BEDMAS, this part here has to be done first because it's multiplication. So that's what we're going to do. We're just going to copy the 4/5. The answer key, I'll put the answer key on Edsby, which is, I'm not going to lie, it's probably going to be a little bit neater than this. Now, remember, we have fraction times fraction, so I can cross reduce. And look, I see a 2 and a 2. They both divide by 2. On the other diagonal, the 1 and the 3, we can't really reduce because the greatest common factor is 1. So there's no use dividing both by 1 because anything divided by 1 is going to be itself. So I end up with 4/5 minus 1 times 1 in the numerator and 1 times 3 in the denominator. And that reducing helps because now we're going to have a lowest common denominator of 15. So I usually like to put that first. And then I ask myself, what did I do to the 5 to get to 15? I multiplied by 3. So 4 times 3, which is 12. 3 times 5 is 15. So 1 times 5 is 5. You do not have to show the arrows and what your scale factor is. You don't have to show that. I'm just doing that to help you out. So 12 minus 5, you end up with 7/15 as your final answer. Okay. Next question says solve. So that one said evaluate. Evaluate means it wants the final numerical answer. And I would expect it in lowest terms, fraction form if possible. If it has to be in fraction form, in lowest terms. Solve means find the value for the variable. So let's find the value for the variable. In this case, we have an x. First things first, we have a negative 7x, and then we have this minus 17 business. We're going to switch teams, change jerseys. And that's going to leave us with negative 7x equal negative 16. Negative 16 was on the right side of the equation, or the right team first. The negative 17 is coming over as you guessed it, hopefully, positive 17. So we have negative 7x equal 1. Now, we want the value of 1x. To do that, we divide by negative 7. We divide both sides by negative 7. Now, normally you would write negative 7 divided by negative 7 is 1x equal 1/7. I'm going to put the negative in the middle here. But we don't like to write the 1. That is bad form. So we erase, right? We don't do that. So x is equal to negative 1/7. This hopefully by now you're recognizing as a fraction equal fraction. There's an invisible denominator 1 on the negative 18. So it's a cross multiplication opportunity. Let's do that. 3x times the 1 is 3x. 7 times negative 18 7 times the 10. I know my answer is going to be negative, so let me do that first before I make a mistake. And 7 times the 10 is 70, and 7 times the 8 is 56. 70 and 56 is 126. So it's negative 126. Now we have to divide both sides by 3. And then I end up with x equal, here's an interesting way of dividing this. If you looked at this and break this number up, look at the 12 divided by 3, or negative 12, I should say, divided by 3. So we know our answer is going to be negative. Negative 12 divided by 3 is negative 4. And then if you look at the 6 divided by 3 here, I'm just splitting the number 126, right? 120 divided by 3 is really negative 40. But then I know 6 divided by 3 is 2. So it's actually negative 42. That's your answer. For some of you, you probably would have been reaching for a graphing display calculator, and you don't need it. Another one of those scenarios where you have fraction equal fraction, so another cross multiplication opportunity. 33x is equal to 11. Divide both sides by 33, and we end up with x equal 1/3. There's that one. Okay. All right, now this is expand and simplify, a little bit of a blast from the past. You should recognize this from our last test. We did some nested brackets, okay? Nested brackets require us to start right from the inner brackets. I look there, 3x minus 4, they're not like terms, so I can't do anything with that. So I start to work my way out. Now there's nothing on the right but another bracket, so forget that. But I start to work my way out here, and I notice that I've got this -2 touching the bracket, or right next to the bracket. That's multiplication. So really what we have, gentlemen, in here is we have x minus the 2 being multiplied by that, okay? But as we learned before, we take the sign with us and we do this, okay? So you have -6 bracket x, and now we're gonna have -2 times 3x is -6x. -2 times a -4 is a +8, and now we can close that bracket. Now, normally you'd be tempted to start distributive property right here, but what we're going to do instead is we're going to do follow BEDMAS. You have to follow BEDMAS to get full marks. So this is in the brackets now. X minus the 6x, those are like terms. So if we have like terms there, if we have like terms, we have x minus 6x, which is -5x, and then +8, which is equal to, and now we're going to distribute the -6 times -5x and -6 times that. So we end up with 30x minus 48. That's our final answer. Put a little box around it, makes life easier. All right, distributive property. This one should be one of the easier ones. Distribute, and you end up with -5m times 2n. Well, we know the -10 part. That's easy, but careful here. This is back to chapter 3 exponent laws. M times m is m squared. So we have -5m times a +2m. That gives us -10, and it's m squared. And then a -5m times a -1 is +5m. That's our answer. So it's one step, but you have to watch out. It's distributive property. Just be careful there for the m squared business. Okay, learning goals. I will type those out quickly here. What we want to do, you know what, you can copy it from Edsby instead of doing that, but I'll read it out. To solve an equation involving multiple terms, collect variable terms on one side and the constant terms on the other. That's just fancy schmancy math language. We're saying get the x's or the variable on one side and put the other things on, all the other terms on the other side, and so we can solve for the variable. Now, if you have an equation involving brackets, you might have to distribute or expand that first and then simplify. And if you want to check your answer, what you do is you take your final answer and you sub that value for the variable. You take that value, put it right back into the original equation, and see if left side equal right side. I'll show you what I mean below. So let's look at that. Solve using pencil and paper. Let me just put that down for the next page. So here we go. So 3 plus 4m plus 5m. Our like terms are, I'm going to take the sign with me. I've got a 4m and a +5m. I'm going to simplify that right now. So I've got 3 plus 9m equal 21. I'm going to leave the 9m where it is, and the 3 is going to have to go to the other team. Gone. So I get 9m equal 21, and then I've got minus 3 because it comes over with the opposite sign. And that leaves us with 9m equal 18. And we divide both sides by 9 to isolate the variable. And we end up with m equal 2. Okay, hopefully that one's an easy one for you. Now here, this one's a little more challenging only because they've given us our like terms or variables on both sides of the equation. That was on purpose. And you have to make a decision. Do you want the variables all on the right or all on the left? It will not make a difference to your answer. Okay, at the end of the day, for this question, oops, that's not what I meant to do. For this question here, if I had 2 equal m or m equal 2, the value for m is 2 or a positive 2. So it won't make a difference if it's on the left or right. It will all work out. So do what you like. Now, I have a preference for bringing the variable to the left, but again, it doesn't matter. So I'm going to write 4x. What I'm going to do is I'm going to bring this negative 6x over to the left. Okay, I'll do that in the same color. I'll bring that to the left. And at the same time, I'm going to take the negative 13, which is a constant, and bring it to the right side. So I end up with 4x, and it's plus 6x, equal, and then the 7 was here first. So I have 7, and the 13's coming over and becomes positive 13. Now let me simplify each side a little bit. I get 10x equal 20. And now we're going to divide both sides by 10. And we end up with x equal 2. Okay. That's that. Now we got some math language coming up here. Find the root of the equation. The root of the equation is basically telling you just find the value of x. Find the value for the variable. So find the value for the variable. Really, I would write this out longer and say find the value for the variable that makes the equation true. Okay. So express your answer as a fraction in those terms, and then it wants us to check our answer. Okay, so what we're going to do here is 4 distributed property, 4 times x, 4 times negative 3, 3 times x, and 3 times negative 2. So that gives us 4x minus 12. Take the positive 3 with you, and it becomes positive 3x. And then positive 3 times negative 2 is negative 6 equal 18. I'm trying to line up my equal signs, guys. Our like terms are 4x and a positive 3x. And then we also have this negative 12 and negative 6. So what is 4x plus 3x? 7x. Negative 12 minus 6, or negative 12 plus negative 6. Listen, negative 12 minus 6 or negative 12 plus negative 6 are exactly the same thing. You should have learned that changing subtraction to addition and then change the following sign to its opposite. When you're subtracting integers, the rule is change subtraction to addition and the following to its opposite. That's elementary school. I know we covered it in prerequisite skills and we've covered it before, but I'm saying it again. If you need help with that, go to ixl.com and practice. So this should be negative 18. That equals 18. Okay. If I bring the negative 18 over to the right-hand side, I'm going to end up with a positive 18. So I have 7x equal 18 plus 18, which is really 36. So I've got 7x equal 36. Divide both sides by 7, and we have this not so nice answer. X equal 36 divided by 7. And not the prettiest answer. It wants us to check our answer on top of that, which means we have to sub in 36 over 7 into the original equation. So if you guys can bear with me for a second, I'm going to try and tab this down and I'm going to cheat and get some more room here. You can't do it on your handout, I know, but let me see if I can do this here. So our check is going to be the original question. Okay, so it's 4 bracket x minus 3 plus 3 times x minus 2. Maybe you could do this on the back of a page or just pay attention for now. Okay, and what we're going to do is we're going to take this answer here and sub it in for x everywhere there's an x, because that's what we said our answer is. If we plug that in for x and we continue to evaluate this, we should get 18 equal 18. And let's see if that happens. So I start with 4 bracket, and then I'm going to write 36 over 7 minus 3 plus 3. And I will change that to 36 over 7. So everywhere there's an x, we're changing it because we think, if we're correct, that our answer is 36 over 7. Now, Bedma says do brackets first. It looked like I have some work to do in the brackets. Oops, sorry about that. I've got some work to do in the brackets there. I need a common denominator. So this is going to stay as 36 over 7, and that's going to become something over 7. Well, right now, the 3 has an invisible denominator of 1. How did it become a 7? I multiplied by 7. So if 1 times 7 is 7, then 3 times 7 is 21. Okay, plus 3 bracket 36 over 7 minus, that denominator is also going to be a 7. Remember, the 2 has a denominator of 1. It's invisible. So what do? The 1 times 7, so 2 times 7, 14. Close the bracket, equal 18. And I end up with 4 bracket 36 minus 21 is 15. 15 over 7 plus 3. And I get something in brackets there. So 36 minus 14 ends up being 22 over 7. Okay. And now we have to do some multiplication. 4 times 15, 4 is a numerator. So I get 60 over 7 plus 66 over 7 equal 18. I end up with 126, because 60 plus 66 is 126 over 7 equal 18. And guess what? That equals 18. If you use a calculator, 126 divided by 7 is 18. So 18 equal 18. That is our answer. Okay. Whew, that took a while. All right. Distributive property again. This one seems a little easier. Negative 4m minus 24. Let me back that up. I want my equal signs to line up. So I'm going to back that up. Negative 4m minus 24 equal 6m minus 8. We want to get the variables on the same side. So I'm going to take the 6m, bring it over, and I'm going to take the negative 24 and bring it over there. Again, it doesn't matter which way, just be consistent. So I end up with negative 4m minus 6m equal negative 8. Careful, some guys forget the sign here. That belongs with the 8. So it's minus 8 or negative 8. And the 24 comes over, it becomes positive 24. So that's 16 on the right. And I get negative 10m here. Okay, divide both sides by negative 10. And on the right-hand side, I have 16 divided by negative 10. So I end up with m equal, I want my fraction reduced, right? 16 over negative 10, both of them could be divided by 2. So that becomes 8 over 5. M is negative 8/5. Okay, and if you have to check the answer, you're going to sub that back in to the original equation. So let's try that. I've got negative 4m plus 6 equal to 3m minus 4. And you're going to sub in negative 8/5 every time there's an m. So here we go. Negative 8/5. And I know I'm going to have it again here, negative 8/5, just for the color coordinating here. So that's plus 6 equal to bracket 3 times that minus 4 close bracket. Looks a little messy, I apologize. Okay, so now we have to get common denominator in the bracket, and we end up with negative 8 over 5 plus the invisible 1 on the 6. Denominator of the 6 becomes a 5. So 1 times 5 is 5, and 6 times 5 is 30. Equal to bracket. Well, we got, this was 3m. So we actually have to multiply the 3 times the negative 8/5. And that becomes negative 24 over 5 minus 4. And that's all in brackets. Okay. I'm going to take care of that side first. Sorry, I'm going to simplify this now. That's negative 8 plus 30. So it's 22 over 5 equal 2 times common denominator is going to be 5. So that becomes 20 over 5. I got this. Oops, I can finish this. I can do some more here. This becomes 4 times negative 4 times 22 is negative 88/5 equal. I end up, let me just make that a little smaller. Negative 88 fifths equal 2 times negative 24 minus 20 is negative 44 fifths. And 2 times that is negative 88. So I have negative 88 fifths equal negative 88 fifths. Bingo. Very ugly on this one, eh, guys? It's not so pretty, unfortunately, in terms of math. Not so nice on answer. A little messy, but that's how we do it. All right, let's look at a word problem here. If I were you, and if that was a little fast, you could pause the video, or just try that question after this lesson's over. Try that question again on your own and see if you get the right answer. All right, so strategy here. A triangle has angle measures that are related as follows. The largest angle is triple the smallest angle. First, I'm going to start off by drawing a triangle. I find it easier. The largest angle, so my largest angle is looks like it's going to be this one right here. This is the second, and that's the smallest. Okay, so largest angle is triple the smallest. So I'm going to call, and then the middle angle is double the smallest. So everything seems as if it's in relation to the smallest. So let's call the smallest x. The largest is triple the smallest, so it's going to be triple x, or 3 times x. And the middle angle is double, so it's going to be 2x. It says find the measures of the angles. Okay, how do I find the measures? Well, we have to look at angle properties. We know that 3x plus 2x plus 1x, or we just write x here, is altogether is 6x. We also know that angles in a triangle add up to 180 degrees. So we know that 6x has to equal 180 degrees. You don't write the degrees yet. Okay, you always put those at the end. How do I solve for x? Divide both sides by 6, and we get x equal 30 degrees. Well, if x is 30 degrees, then for 2x equal 2 times 30, which is 60 degrees. And triple x is equal to 3 times 30, which is 90 degrees. So we have 30, 60, 90, right? There you go. And that's how we solve that word problem. Okay, guys, again, if you felt that the last part there with all the fractions and confirming, proving or checking your answer, that left side equal right side, if you found that difficult, my strong advice is try that right now by yourself all over again and see if you can do it. Or pick a random question from the textbook, maybe one of the examples in the textbook from the example section, and test yourself. All right. God bless, boys. Take care.